you tired, Hootle?
You sure he's not just trying to hide from us?
Well, it's the moment of truth.
This lady better hold together once we're up in the air.
Law, don't say that. You're going to jinx us.
Speaking of which, Alphen, this bucket of bolts got a name?
A name? You know, I'm not sure she ever had one. I never really thought about it.
Well, after all the trouble we went through to find her, we should give her one, right? I was thinking something like...
Fall Knights.
Huh?
It means owl in the ancient tongue. Literally, the one drawn to the skies.
I like it. Sounds perfect for our little escapade.
Not sure I'm completely convinced, but... well, it's as good a name as any. From now on, she'll be known as the Fall Knights.
Okay, and then we need to figure out the truth behind Shionne's thorns and find a way to save her. Sound good? All right, then let's go.
You know, I can still hardly believe it.
Believe what?
I mean, just look at it. The whole of existence, crammed inside a tiny frame.
Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. It does look more like a painting than a living, breathing world.
From up here, all the struggles we've been through feel so insignificant.
Nothing like realizing how small you are to put everything into perspective. Kinda makes the differences between the Renans and the Dahnans feel pretty small too, huh?
How much longer until we reach Lenegis?
There are better ways to use your time than napping. We should take a moment to familiarize ourselves with the facilities on board before arrival.
Good idea. The starship may end up serving as our base of operations once we're down there. Think you'll be all right with the controls?
You mean the one set to automatic pilot? I dare say I'll manage. I'm basically just here to supervise.
In that case, she's all yours.
Everything okay?
We'll be going to...
This must feel like a homecoming of sorts to you, huh? What?
Let's just say, I don't have many happy memories. I've had thorns my whole life. For as long as I can remember. They called it treatment. But in truth, they were just using me as a guinea pig for their research.
You mean, they experimented on you?
That's right. All I was to them was a riddle to solve. They poked and prodded me, trying to figure out what triggered my thorns or changed the form they took. Day in and day out, every single day, one test after another. I'm still surprised they didn't try to dissect me. The look they gave me whenever one of them touched my skin. How could I forget it? Reeling from the pain, like I was a monster or something. Some existence, huh? A blight on any I touched, helplessly complicit in their pain. I thought things couldn't get any worse, but then they did. I started to have nightmares, visions of the coming apocalypse. Is it any wonder I lacked a cheery disposition? Unable to so much as touch another soul. Loneliness was my best friend. Sure, I survived, but with the knowledge that one day I'd be swallowed up by oblivion. And that's when it hit me. If I was going to die, then it should mean something. If I have to sacrifice myself to save the world, so be it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you relive that.
No, it's fine. I'm in a much better place now.
You say it's your destiny to die so that others can live. But why not the other way around? Why shouldn't we be the ones dying to save you?
Are you crazy? Why would you sacrifice your life for...
That's exactly my point. Why should you have to give up your life just because you drew the short straw in the destiny stakes? How is that even right? It's that logic that's used to justify slavery, as if some of us were just meant to be sacrificed. This struggle was never about saving only ourselves. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our own lives to save everyone else's either. If we're doing this to protect people, if we're doing this to save the world from destruction, then that has to include saving each other as well.
A world free of sacrifice. That's what you've been fighting for all along, isn't it?
Not just me. We're in this together, remember? This fight is yours if we're going to win. Everyone has to win. There can be no room for losers in this fight. Now I see it. The true nature of our...
A victory without losers. But that means that a Dahnan victory over Rena can't be the end. Do you think we can pull it off?
You bet we can pull it off. We have to. It's the only hope we have of things ever changing.
Yeah, you're right. No one's ever changed the future without aiming for the stars. We can do this.
Is something...
No,
You mean since you became a lord?
I am as prone to sentiment. You too have a history with... Doesn't that frighten you?
Well, it is a place where I took the lives of countless, but I can't keep running forever. The past is what it is. There's no changing that. But the future...
I see.
Dohalim?
Forgive me. I was wrong to pry. We have more pressing matters to it. Come back and speak to me when you finish looking around the ship.
Hey, Alphen, listen to this! So Law and I were just talking and...
Hey, shut up!
What's got Law all flustered?
Only that he's afraid of flying, the big baby. And after all that fuss he made about naming the ship, too.
Hey, I never said I was scared. I just think it's, a little unsettling.
It's a starship, dummy. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't think...
Well, maybe you're the one with the problem then.
Guys. I'm no expert, but I think we can trust Renan technology. It got me to Dahna in one piece, remember?
Oh, that's a good point. If you think so, Alphen, it must be okay. Don't you agree, Law?
Hard to argue with that, seeing how you hitched a ride in one of these things before, Alphen. It's just wrong, okay?
You okay? Feeling airsick?
Actually, now that you mention it, not at all. These starships are a remarkably smooth ride, all things considered. Nothing like being at sea, thank goodness.
Glad to hear it. That device there caught your eye, huh?
I was just wondering what it is. It looks big enough to fit a person inside of it.
It's a healing pod. It fixes injuries and illnesses.
Oh, you don't say. That should definitely come in handy if any of us get injured while we're down there. Alphen? Was it something I said?
No, I was just thinking back to when I escaped Lenegis, that's all. What with the ceremony and losing control, I was a total mess. Naori laid me inside here.
So, you're saying you got in this thing straight after escaping? But that'd mean you were inside for 300 years?
Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But don't even ask me why I stayed asleep all that time.
That's definitely quite some lie-in, all right. But still, whether you meant to or not, I sure am glad that it's this century that you finally woke up in.
What do you mean?
With the amount of fighting we've done, we would have never made it this far without you. And not only that, but... Alphen, can you recall back to what it is that I said to you? Back when we left Menancia? About the dream of coexistence, and needing to learn what it entailed?
Of course. That's why you came with us, right? To learn what you couldn't at home.
Even in that time, I was well aware that what I was living was a lie. But at the same time, I also felt really compelled to fulfill my brother's wishes. I'll always remember him fondly. But the coexistence we're fighting for isn't for him. It's for people now, and those still to come. The world's bigger than just Menancia. My dream is for all Dahnans, wherever they might be, to be free. If I've learned anything on this journey, it's that. And the one who brought me along was you, Alphen.
Well, we're not out of this forest just yet.
I know. But whatever we find when we get down there, I'm through looking the other way.
Kisara.
Probably getting a little ahead of myself, huh? Let's take things one step at a time.
Is everyone about ready?
Before we do that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know the first thing about Lenegis.
I'd like to hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there.
Very well. First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of... Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right. Its social structure is based on a...
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you...
They can be honed with the right training, and there are admittedly other factors at play. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dahna even if they wanted to. Still, even the lowest rung on the Renan ladder is considered superior to being a Dahnan. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right? What about you, Xion?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Fair point.
On arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society. No, it's...
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
Wait a second. Are you? He is! Lost blushing!
I am not!
Of course, separating people into castes based on something arbitrary like arts is discrimination at its worst. As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
So this Red Woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
I would wager so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dahna, we need to take it back at all costs.
That red woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
We're about to land. The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Xion, we'll find... There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegis' infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Do you think anyone realized?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
So now what? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too.
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the Sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a Sovereign in our midst. In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegis would have required an immense source of power.
Then you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alphen said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normal.
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a Sovereign.
There's only one way to find out. If there's...
Shionne's right. Who knows? We might even find a clue to her thorns while we're at it.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone. Beyond that wall lies a city full of Renins. The capital city where Shionne and Dohalim used to live, no less. Who knows what we'll find on the other side?
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior, too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dap.
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live.
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either...
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir. I'm glad...
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest?
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim. Don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Do?
So who's
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are...
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their...
We need more information.
While we're at it, we can...
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Dan...
Good idea.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis
Right. The Danans among us should probably keep our heads down.
What if people...
What could... It's just...
From how it looks.
But why?
Whatever their
He's right.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some...
You heard him.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing art.
So,
What do you...
well, but then...
Ordinarily, yes. Trust me. As far as we were concerned, Lenegis was our home. It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an afterthought.
Sorry.
This place...
Yeah.
Your lordship. Oh, what a great... I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're...
All red, eh? No, I can't...
Yeah,
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise.
never mind. Is everything okay?
Oh, yes. I can't seem to...
I was hoping to head this way myself.
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only... I was hoping to avoid it, but...
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard...
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you...
But of course. Please I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters. But I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating. I shall go and assess the situation. In the...
You'd really do that for me?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are...
Oh, why...
Oh dear, whatever did we...
You really have no clue.
Would that I have. We have no... But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of... I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same.
As your lord, the Ilkaris house has produced a great...
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Well, we've canvassed this.
No one had...
Not to this...
Given everything...
Yeah.
Everything that nothing happened.
The Sovereigns... There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this...
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself it... Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard...
No,
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler.
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming thereafter. That individual is known as the Sovereign. As for how Volron factors into all this...
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was... 300 years later, we crossed paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason?
I can't say for sure.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this—
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red... The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the...
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden.
Questions, questions, and yet more questions.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start.
Then it's decided.
One of this... Let's go find... I didn't
And yet...
It is the way things evolve.
Unquestioning accept.
Even so, I used to think it was impossible.
More to the point.
What if she's not...
It's still too...
For all we know, she might be able to...
Tell me,
And what...
With nobody left, I mean, their Sovereign's up,
But Dohalim was a lord.
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite...
Even if the other lords were still around.
I wonder what they'd think if they were... Balsif? Cannabelt? Oh, now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the...
Well, yeah, why... To us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives...
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too.
Yeah.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some of the local... Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means they
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Pardon me.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right, too.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
Seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganath Haros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary, remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
There's something I just don't...
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, in which case the current Sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was...
Hanfrikt Milgras, the former Lord of Cyslodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfrikt whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler.
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him.
You're saying that ever since becoming Sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over Holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the Sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, Sovereign or other.
And that never struck...
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies.
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception...
You and me both.
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone...
No use standing around...
Doe?
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
But why are you here? Wait. Don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already. Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnagin to secure your position as Lord, you still...
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like all... You're just a coward!
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Wow, this place is beautiful!
Yeah, it must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renan sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter,
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, Avakir, Faria, and Tarnagin.
Tarnagin.
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnagin and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only...
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, Dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's... Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid...
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart, and even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnagin had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnagin was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait, don't tell me she doesn't know.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less. She would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty. Instead, I decried my fate and looked away from... As for what happened after...
But if you hadn't become Lord...
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else? You've saved so many... You saved me. So, try not to blame yourself.
Frank as always, but...
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Xion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right. Alphen,
Yeah?
I never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe. But I still wanted to say thank you.
I see a medic and supply officer over there. If they know you're with me, they'll likely offer their assistance.
Did... we really just spend that much money?
Damn it! Lenegis soldiers!
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, so much for them not wanting to fight.
Oh! I am Lord Dohalim of Elder Menastia. I command you.
The rest of the city must be erased.
No. Have they been brainwashed too?
Brainwashed or not, if they want to fight, they got one.
Do it! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished.
Pierce the evil! Winds of heaven! Now!
In an instant! Impact block!
The enemy wields arms too.
We'll soon see about that!
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've...
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's...
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as... And yet, traditionally, Lenegis hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zeugles during experiments here and...
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros.
I've never seen...
Maybe someone...
What, with the Red Woman?
Rising one! Mirage! You escape! You're finished!
It's showtime! Lunar Whirling! These ones can throw freaks around us!
You escape!
Rising
Rising one!
Mirage! Inferno Punch! Burn! My turn! You're dead! You're mine! Soda! This one's all mine!
Now!
Soda!
Hey, I'm pretty lucky.
An opponent like this should be easy. Here I come!
Dance in the wind! Lunar Blast!
Ignite!
Sleep now! This one's mine!
Time to cross blade!
Smash you! Can't get out of this! Far enough!
Here I come!
Here and now!
Soda!
Healing
Blade of sight!
Chain between
Burn it down!
Cyan Instant!
Rising Rider!
Lunar Blast!
Soda!
Here!
Talon Hurricane!
Morph into Darkfire!
Inferno
Lunar
Blast!
Blast!
Just getting started! You're mine! Rising Rider!
Soda!
Attack time! This one's all mine!
Searing Flame!
Soda!
I'll
finish you here and now!
Freeze! Cyan Instant! Back into the fray!
You picked the wrong fight!
Hurricane! Lightning!
Soda!
Will this help? Hit! Eagle! Where that came from? Arch Steel! Healing Circle! Here! Thrust!
I owe you one!
Photon Magic! Astral Energy!
Say no more!
Barely a blip on our radar.
Gotta break through! Bring him down! Ignite!
Astral Energy!
Say no more!
Now! Carve through! My shield!
Astral Energy!
Say no more!
Mega
Now!
Rays in the
Here
sky
I come!
is mine!
Eat this! Rising Wiper! Soda! Lunar Rondo!
Magic is there!
Take this!
Too much to handle?
Where
are you going? Now! Astral Energy!
Say no more!
This should come in handy when crafting weapons.
We seem to have come across something a little unusual.
It's on! Now you're
Freezing Storm!
Rising Wiper!
Raging Cascade! Anything
in armor is all mine!
How long are we gonna keep this inventory set? This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
May a
Now!
thousand gales
Goodbye!
carry the
Soda!
Lunar Blast!
Do it! Take this! Soda!
Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
A comfortable win.
Those soldiers don't seem to have any qualms about attacking on sight.
An opponent like this should be easy.
You're mine!
Soda!
Waterfall!
Not today!
In here!
Take
I
this!
single pass on the
Now you see what I can do!
There! Magic is there! Here!
Take this!
Now for something special!
Far enough!
What's this? Burning Strike! Blah, blah, blah! Hear my call! Burning Blade! Blah, blah, blah! Air burning!
This one keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for. Get behind me!
Got it! I'll leave it to you! Watch this! Soda! Talon Hurricane! Shattering us pieces! Attack us! I owe you one! I'm not
This
done!
one's mine!
Keep this! It's got your name on him! Thanks! Smash you! Watch this! Try harder! Take the away! Soda! Burn! Take this! Sword Rain Alpha!
Firmament Render!
I'll crush you! Lightning Reflexes! Tenebrous Claw! Talon Hurricane! Take this! Chill!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
Don't get careless.
really don't give up, do they?
Rising Rider! Here and now! You're on! Burn! It's on! Not today!
Not my watch! That's my cue!
Shut him down!
Now!
Surely! In an instant! Impact block!
Lightning!
Leave the ensnaring to me.
Yeah! And totally to me!
Burn in hell!
Now!
Don't get complacent.
Brace yourself! This one's tough! Horizon Lord! Smash you! I'm not done!
You think it does it? I'll punch that gun out of your hand!
I see one, eh?
That'll bring you down!
No further! It's on!
Chain between heaven and earth! Do it! Oh, wait! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
I'll heal
My
you
turn!
all!
It's almost too strong! Split it open! Be my guest! Start us!
Sleep now! Now! In the pool!
I'll crush you!
I'll trip it up.
Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Talon Hurricane! We're not finished!
Do it! Astral energy!
Say no more!
This one!
Start us!
Field! Healing circle! Take this!
Lunar Runway!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
Don't get complacent.
This must be it. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone.
But it's just a wall. How do we get through?
Whoa, we? I thought this was Sovereigns only.
Alphen.
Yes! It opened!
Interesting. If Alphen's presence still opens the way, it would seem the Sovereign of 3 centuries ago and now are considered one and the same.
What?
What the?
Alphen.
You again.
Tomorrow's the spirit channeling ceremony. We'll finally play our parts as the Sovereign and Maiden. How have you been feeling?
What am I sovereign of? Shuffled from lab to lab, always treated like an experiment. Whenever they look at me, all they see is a Dahnan. I don't even know what their precious ceremony's for. Let alone what they're going to force me to do as the Sovereign. Tell me, if we're both in the same boat, why do you seem so calm right now?
No choice. Becoming the Maiden's not something I wanted for myself. But they said Rena's prosperity depended on it. How could I say no after that?
Still, as a Renan, at least you got to decide. Good for you. Meanwhile, I was taken from my homeland. You aren't the captive one here.
It isn't right what they did to you, and I'm sorry for what it's worth. When this is over, I swear I'll help you get home. I can't do this alone. One more day.
How could I say no to that? It's not like I have any choice in the matter anyway. So, what's your name?
It's Naori. Naori Imaris. Try to remember this time.
You don't act like them. Like the other Renans, I mean. How come you treat me like a person?
Because you are. It's true we come from different worlds. But neither one of us asked to be here right now. In that sense, you and I are much the same. We couldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other as people if we didn't see the humanity in each other. So I suppose the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I treat you like one?
You're not like the others.
Maybe they're not like me.
Here's what we'll do. We give them their damn ceremony. You get me to Dana. That'll be the end of it. I'm taking you at your word on this. I'm trusting you, not them. Naori.
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That person Alphen was speaking to. She looked exactly like Shion.
It was Naori. Naori Imaris. Isn't that right?
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
That's all very well and fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless...
No, I don't...
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, it was like a stream of Danan astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dana's for all we know. Perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that?
We have no way of knowing.
Shion.
Yeah. It was all... So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like...
Yeah, there's certainly...
What about you? How...
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's likely we'll see more of those. Reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth...
Alphen.
That's not all. I'd like to liberate them too if I can.
Whether you're on Dana or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Not that I'm complaining. Come on, let's bust...
Nobody's here.
Stay sharp. After that last illusion, there's no telling what could happen in here.
Faria, how did you get in here?
Wait, something about her isn't right.
What's wrong with her? She doesn't even seem to know where she is.
Yeah, you're right. She looks just like the soldiers we encountered outside.
A summoning?
But that's preposterous. She never had that kind of power when...
We can talk later. Here it comes!
What? I've never known Faria to control Zulus like that before.
How about with a stone that looks suspiciously like a master sword? Where did she get her hands on that?
First we handle the Zulus, then we get some answers.
Aim for the wall now!
Freeze laser! In here, ready!
Talon Hurricane!
Eat dirt!
Anything in armor is all mine!
Take with turkey!
Say no more!
You're mine! Flame of Fury! Here's evil!
Now you see what I can do!
Confiscate! Freeze Lancer! Raging Evergate! That move! Flame inside me! In here! Here comes the big one!
More for the
Impact punch!
Air thrust!
Burn!
Healing knockout!
Watch it! Rising Reverend!
Metal Ray Darkness! Annihilation! Arch Shield!
In a bind?
Burning
Blow away!
I can
Charge
carve
like
through
that can easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop it.
This should do it! Swallow dance! Rising Wyvern! Flame inside me! Yours has to be let free! Ignite!
High praise coming from you.
I said almost. Don't get turned away.
What's this? You're mine! Here you are!
Now!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven! Phoenix Cyclone! Now it's just her!
Varia, can you hear me? Varia!
She's preparing another summoning!
The art she's casting is way too powerful to control. At this rate, her body won't be able to take much more. Dohalim!
Forgive me. Man, I thought we were goners.
Everything okay?
Yes. She's only unconscious.
Not her. I meant you.
Shion, please. Can you treat her?
I can try, but I can't promise she'll be back to her real self when she wakes up. All I can do is heal her physically.
We're not even supposed to be in here. Maybe it'd be better if we moved her to somewhere a little safer. Don't you think?
In that case...
I'll take her off your hands.
You? Avakir, what are you doing here?
I was curious what you were up to, so I took the liberty of following you to find out. I overheard what you said about Tarnigan, about how he really died. I'm sorry, I had no idea.
And you believed me? What makes you so sure I wasn't lying?
I like to think I know you a little better than that, Dohalim. Give me some credit. I'll take Faria. Leave her with me. I know better than to ask what you're up to. But whatever it is, I hope it all works out.
Thank you.
He seems like a good friend.
He hasn't changed. He never was one to stand out. Instead, he was always hanging back, worrying about everyone else. As for Faria, it's all...
You don't seriously blame yourself for...
Somebody got to her, to strike back at me. Someone... And the same goes for you as well.
You're wrong. Kelzelik was the one who killed my brother, under orders from Almeidria. As for Tarnigan, if it weren't for the crown contest, he'd still be alive. But that's why we're fighting.
Indeed.
You can't I know it hurts to hear. But those people are dead. No amount of soul-searching or trying to make amends is going to forgiveness,
So I just forget the harm I
No, the opposite, in fact. You remember. You never forget. Not for those already passed.
For those still alive.
Kisara's right. So long as we've still got breath in our bodies, we can make a difference in the lives of others.
That's what living's all about. Punishing yourself for the past.
Only fixing the problem in its stead.
That's right.
Don't forget, we've still got...
Shion.
Huh?
Thank you. You have my deep...
Glad to be of service.
I'm glad we could stop Faria without hurting her.
You all did much for her as well.
What is it, Rinwell? Do you hear something again?
Yeah. It's that voice.
The will of Dana's astral energy.
What? There's so much astral energy. But where's it all coming from? It's almost like it's alive.
That was the spirit channeling ceremony just now. No, it was more than that.
What the hell was that? It felt like everything was on the brink of... like the whole world was seconds from...
Oblivion. It's the same vision as the one my thorns show me. A vision of impenetrable darkness that swallows up us and everything else.
An empty void. A nothing so complete and dominating that there aren't even words to describe it. The end of time.
The visions of the apocalypse you've been seeing. If I'd known how bad they were,
So, everything we just saw, those were Naori's memories, right?
That's right. It was as if her innermost thoughts were speaking directly to us. At least I know they weren't mine.
That power flowing into her. It reminds me of Shionne's thorns. If they're what's responsible for all these visions she's been having, then maybe...
Maybe my thorns are made from that same astral energy?
If that is the case, we just found the missing link between your thorns and what happened here 3 centuries ago. No, more than a link. Perhaps even the very heart of the matter.
I've never felt astral energy so powerful. What was that?
If it's the same energy your thorns are made of, it must be dark astral energy, right? And isn't that something only Renans have?
Correct. Dark astral energy is possessed by Renans alone.
And when enough astral energy gathers together, it develops its own form of sentience. If so, maybe that complete oblivion is exactly what the Renan astral energy's will is wishing for. But why?
I don't know. Will can be a pretty vague thing to nail down. It's more of a feeling, just like the will of Dana.
But the will of Dana is made up of astral energy too, right? And if that's what's been showing us these visions... I don't know, should we really be getting so involved with this thing?
Dana's will would never want oblivion.
But you can't say that for sure.
Cut it out, you two. Squabbling over theories will get us nowhere.
Let's keep moving. If it's Dana's will showing us these memories, then I'm as clueless about its motives as any one of us. But if it could lead us to the truth, then
Shionne's right. All we can do is keep going. If these really are Naori's memories we're watching, there could be truths in them I was never aware of. And I think they may be the kinds of truths I need to confront if we're—
I'm sorry about what I...
Finally, we begin to understand what the thorns are.
Yes, and their source. A ceremony that occurred 3 centuries ago.
But we still don't know how to get rid of them. I just hope we can find a way. Soon, you might very well learn to have to be ready to face anything. Whatever happens, I'm determined to save Shionne and Dana. Hold up, you guys.
What is it?
I want to look through that room over there. Curious what we'll find.
That's the room you visited in your past, right? Sure. We can check it out. This looks like some kind of research facility.
A laboratory secreted away in the Forbidden Zone. Why am I past being surprised at this point?
Looks pretty deserted.
Let's check it out. It might give us a new lead.
That vision we saw.
What do you make of it?
Maybe it's trying to tell us.
Well, it could be supernatural. You know, like seeing dead people, messages from beyond the grave, ghost-type stuff.
That's your grand theory?
Wait. He might be closer to the mark than you think. What if a person's thoughts and deeds were to somehow become indelibly etched into the ether of a place? And what—
You think that's what it was? Some kind of message someone left here for us?
I am merely entertaining the possibility. Whether it was Dana's will—
Okay, back up a sec.
More to the point, how does that much astral energy gather in one place anyway? Seems unlikely it happened naturally.
Whatever it was, it survived here intact for 300 years. Whoever left it for us, the strength of their intent is beyond doubt.
The strength of their intent.
For the people of Lenegis, the Forbidden Zone is the stuff of dreams. Yet here I am.
It's off limits even for lords, then? Talk about an exclusive club.
Being exclusive is one thing, but how many—
Strange. Whoever the—
Did no one—
No.
The Forbidden, that is what we believed. But now,
Well?
these are experiment records by the looks of it. Reams of them. A composite being capable of controlling Danan astral energy, so as to the creation of a governing central figure, codename Sovereign.
Sovereign?
Wait, there's more. Research into utilizing force field crystals for the purpose of stable astral energy containment. That must be the Master Course. With all this raw data, there's bound to be records here somewhere about the Maiden and the Lords, too.
About the lords? Why would they be on there?
Think about it. The Lord's crests are clearly of a piece with those of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. Not to mention the fact that the contenders to the crown are selected from otherwise regular Renan citizens. In other words, it may be that all Renans are unwittingly being made subject to some kind of grand scheme.
What about the Sovereign? Does it say anything else?
Where do I start? All I've read so far is the headlines. There's so much here. To sift through all of it would require specialized... Wait.
What is it? Did you find something?
It's a list of names, with the title, Test Subjects, Sovereign. It's your call.
Read it.
There must be dozens of test subjects listed here. Hundreds even. All of them failures. Wait, I think I've found one that was successful. Test subject number 1273. Ethnicity, NA. Unique adjustment index, generation, NA. Given name, Alphen.
They re-engineered me. Right here in this lab.
Alphen.
It's fine, really. What about the others? Was I the only one?
Test subject number 10105. Ethnicity, NA. Unique adjustment index, generation, NA. Given name, Volron.
Volron? But that means...
He's only sovereign because someone made him that way too.
He's the last one. In 3 centuries worth of records, you and Volron are the only 2 subjects on whom the experiment was a success.
But what about the winners of the crown contests? Does this mean that none of them were ever crowned sovereign after all?
Upon victory, the Sovereign shall return to Rena and rule over Rena and Lenegis combined. When a new Sovereign is decided, the outgoing monarch shall relinquish their post and live out the rest of their days on Rena. So we were told. But according to these records, there have only ever been 2 Sovereigns, neither of whom had anything to do with the crown contest. It's all lies, including the part about the Sovereign residing in Rena. The crown contest was never about deciding a new ruler. It must always have been devised for some other purpose.
But even supposing that's true, someone must have been in charge for the past 3 centuries, right? If it wasn't the Sovereign, then who was it?
Crown contests have been held this whole time, in spite of the fact that there was already a Sovereign. Me. Meaning that for the past 300 years, someone out there has to have been maintaining that lie. The same person I'm willing to bet is behind all this.
The Red Woman?
It's possible. But that doesn't necessarily mean she's the mastermind behind this scheme. She could be working for someone else. Someone back on the Renan homeworld.
Either way, it's fair to say she's...
What about the data records? Is there no other...
Not that I can see. Just file upon file of experiment results. There's nothing here about who's behind all this, or what their endgame is, unfortunately. I've barely managed to scratch the surface, mind you. You won't be able to read through it all, but you're welcome to take a look through what you can, while we're here.
I'll do that.
So this is where Alphen became the Sovereign. And Volron as well. This... significance of this location was only two. So was there real?
Dohalim.
Forgive.
Alphen,
But
if that were to happen...
Yeah,
That's right. No good can come.
If you ever start to lose your way, you can count on us to guide you back.
And I would be happy.
Naori,
Don't talk. I have to do this. I gave you my word that I'd help you return to Dana. The next time you open your eyes, you'll be home.
But you...
My place is here with my people. I still have a duty to fulfill. I'm sorry for what you've endured. Renan never should have dragged you into this. It's not your burden to bear.
But...
The mask contains a sedative. It should keep your mind from tearing itself apart any further. Let yourself go to sleep. This should help with the pain. Time to go, Elfin. Farewell.
Naori...
His injuries are worse than I thought. Short-term treatment isn't going to cut it. I'll have to switch the healing pod to long-term hibernation mode. The chance of surviving hibernation's less than 10%? And worse, long-term use of the mask carries a high risk of damaging his mind and nervous system. But... if I don't head back, Lenegis will be nothing but ashes, and this starship along with it. I don't know if I can fulfill my promise to you, Alphen. But if doing this will grant you even the slightest chance, I have to try. I hope it's enough. Please, live for me, Alphen.
That vision. It must have been from when Naori helped Alphen escape Lenegis.
She sure went above and beyond the call of duty.
Even with Lenegis crumbling down around her, she chose to stay put with her people.
So that's why you lost your memories and sense of pain, and why you were asleep for that whole time. It was all the result of one agonizing decision Naori made to save your life.
Yeah. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be alive today. I owe her everything. More than I could ever hope to repay.
Now that you know how she felt, how do you plan on honoring her wishes?
She kept her promise. If the Renan people she fought so desperately to protect are at risk from a malevolent force, then I owe it to her to carry on her fight. Naori was the one who put that mask on me, and made me Iron Mask.
She did it to prevent your soul from tearing itself apart. She knew you might lose your memories and sense of pain as a result. But more than anything, she wanted you to survive. And you did.
This place. We've seen this in one of Naori's memories.
Of course. After 300 years, this is where it was held. The spirit channeling ceremony. This is where the Renis Alma was.
So this is the place where you and Naori...
The Renis Alma isn't here now. Nor is the Red Woman, it seems.
I know it's difficult, Alphen, but there will be time to dwell on the past later. For now, we need to keep moving. Come on.
Naori.
What is this? Is it the work of Dana's will again?
It's been a year since the ceremony. That day, I shut away inside of myself the power that caused Alphen to lose control. Since then, my visions of the future have grown more and more fearsome.
Is this another memory? No, it's different this time. It's like she's speaking directly to us.
What we did back then. Not so much as a day passes when I don't think about it. About what was done to us. All in the name of a ceremony.
the purpose of which we were never even told. As Sovereign, they linked Alphen's consciousness to Lenegis itself. The Renis Alma was intended to control his power, lest anything should slip through its cracks. That day, as Maiden, my role was to temper his power. I was meant to guide it forth, and give shape to the strength inside of him.
Linked to Lenegis itself? But then, everything that's been happening...
But that power showed me a vision. A vision of oblivion. When I realized that vision was a prophecy of the apocalypse we were about to unleash, I couldn't go through with it. But without a maiden, the ceremony was doomed. Alphen lashed out, his consciousness no longer his own. I did what I could. Using my abilities as the maiden, I tried to seal that power away inside of me. But it was too late. Lenegis had already been brought to its knees. Thousands upon thousands of lives so cruelly snuffed out. All because of me. Because of what I had done. With the destructive force now slumbering inside of me, I knew I had to find a way to dispose of it. Anything to make up for my failure. But I didn't know how. Especially since that power was astral energy itself. In which case, ironically enough, the Renis Alma seemed to be my best bet. That, at least, would hold the astral energy dormant, assuming that no malevolent third party got to it first. With the Sovereign and Maiden's combined power, perhaps I could shift the chaotic energy inside me into the Renis Alma instead. That's what I hoped, but alas, it was not to be. The Renis Alma was lost, and Alphen, the Sovereign, was in a starship bound for Dana. My only choice was to seal away the destructive force inside of me using my powers as the Maiden, to buy the world what little time I could. The time needed for a new Renis Alma to be crafted, and for a new Sovereign to appear. Even if by doing so, it meant I would be passing the curse onto my descendants as well. Please, forgive me. I never meant to burden the future world with this threat too. I only wish that there was something more I could have done.
Wait, you can't just...
Naori.
That message just now, was it directly from Naori? Or was it the Dahnan voice speaking through her?
What?
These are the clothes that Naori and I wore during the ceremony 3 centuries ago.
So you're saying this is the Maiden's outfit?
That's right. These clothes are designed to resonate with the Sovereign and Maiden's abilities. They focus and enhance them.
And they appeared now because...
Naori must have left them here for the new Sovereign and Maiden, knowing the day would come when they would need them in their fight against the Thorns.
These outfits are directly linked to the answers we've been chasing this whole time. If they're here, it must mean it was Naori's will for us to find those answers as well.
Locating the Renis Alma would allow us to neutralize the dark astral energy inside Xion, thereby silencing her thorns. Is that what Naori's suggesting?
It makes sense. After all, Master Cores and Spirit Vessels are both able to prevent the astral energy inside them from developing sentience. By that logic, it would stand to reason that the Renis Alma would have the same ability on a larger scale.
We have a maiden in Sovereign. Now all we need is the Renis Alma, and we'll finally be able to free you of your thorns, Shion.
It's possible?
I do. We can rid you—
However, the spirit channeling ceremony already failed once. Even if our goal is different this time, we can't be sure the same thing won't happen again. We should take care not to be too optimistic.
You're right. It's the barest sliver of a chance. But if there's even the slightest hope it can work, I'm willing to stake everything I've got on it.
I know it's too early to let myself feel relieved, but I just can't seem to help it. Just hearing there's the slightest chance, even though I know the world's still in great peril, it's selfish.
No, it isn't! You found hope to believe in. It'd be strange if you weren't over the moon about it.
Rinwell's right. We can rid you of your curse and still save the world at the same time.
Thank you. Naori entrusted us with the fate of all humanity.
Starting with a little game called Hunt the Renis Alma.
Yeah, we've come all this way. Now we just need to search Lenegis and Rena until we find—
Yeah, we can protect—
I too shall lend my services. My knowledge of Renin lore is bound to be a useful asset.
And they say modesty is dead.
Miracle.
How do you know it's me they're following? We're all in this together, Shion. Now let's get moving, shall we? So Naori sealed away the power that made me lose control of myself. She stopped my rampage and saved my— But then, that power she'd sealed away was passed down to you. I'm so sorry, Shion.
You're wrong. What happened to you was because of the ceremony, and Naori's attempt to stop Oblivion. You paid a heavy price for it. The reason you lost your memories
is the reason for your curse.
The thorns.
It all leads back to them.
When my thorns are gone, I never dared to dream that— No. The truth is, about a life without the touch of my family, holding hands with Rinwell, or giving Law a deserved smack. All the normal things I always wish. Is it really okay for me to believe it can happen? I'm so scared of getting my hopes. What if it doesn't work out and—
That's not going to happen. I'm here to make sure— Forget fate. We're going to live a normal life. There are a lot of things.
Yeah, it's such a— I know, and it's for my sake.
You're worth fighting.
I believe you.
Good. I'll keep on fighting. Until our future is finally in our hands.
Sounds like this Naori chick had quite the big heart.
Her position demanded nothing less. From the sound of things, she didn't focus on differences.
Yeah.
Not only that, but she willingly stayed behind on Lenegis for the sake of her people. It sounds—
It's as if walls meant nothing to her. The one separating...
Which basically meant that she never had anything to break down in the first place, huh?
You inherited that legacy.
Don't I know it?
She's kind of like a lodestar guiding our...